Somewhere in your brain, right now, a prediction is being written about who you'll be tomorrow. You didn't authorize it, you can't see it. And it's being built from the most forgettable thing you did today. A glance, a delay, a swipe, something so small it never reached conscious memory. But your brain logged it, and your brain is keeping score. For decades, neuroscientists assumed identity lived somewhere deep, encoded in genes, sealed in early childhood, mostly fixed by adulthood. The data says something stranger. The adult brain rewires itself constantly. Synaptic connections strengthen, weaken, and reorganize based on what you repeat, not what you intend, not what you believe about yourself, what you repeat. This is the part most people never hear, the neurons that fire together when you check your phone at 7:14 a.m. are not just executing a behavior, they're reinforcing a circuit. And that circuit competes biologically with every other version of you that could have existed in that moment. The brain doesn't store who you are. It rehearses who you're becoming. And rehearsal, repeated, becomes structure. A grocery store, 8:47 p.m., fluorescent lights. A cart with one bad wheel, someone is standing in front of the freezer section. From the outside, it looks like a person choosing food. Inside their skull, something far more interesting is happening. The basal ganglia, a cluster of structures deep in the brain, are running a kind of background search. Not, what do I want? That question is too expensive, metabolically. The brain avoids it whenever possible. Instead, it's asking, what did I do last time? So, this is the mechanism behind nearly half of all human daily behavior. Studies from Duke University estimate that roughly 43% of what people do each day isn't decided in the moment. It's replayed from a stored pattern. Habits aren't laziness, they're compression. The brain burns about 20% of the body's energy. Conscious decision-making is expensive. So, the brain offloads behavior into automatic loops the moment it detects repetition, which means the person in front of the freezer isn't really choosing. They're executing a forecast their brain made the last time they stood there. And every time they execute it, the forecast gets more accurate, more confident, and harder to override. The freezer door closes, a pattern just got stronger. Modern neuroscience has converged on a strange model of the brain. It is not primarily a thinking organ. See, it is a prediction organ. Researchers like Karl Friston, Lisa Feldman Barrett, and Anil Seth describe the brain as a system constantly generating forecasts about what will happen next, then comparing those forecasts against incoming sensory data. When the prediction matches reality, the brain barely reacts. When it doesn't, you feel surprise, attention, sometimes discomfort. This is happening every second. Reaching for a doorknob, reading a face, lifting a cup that turned out to be lighter than expected. Your conscious experience is, in a real sense, a controlled hallucination updated by error signals. Now, apply this to behavior. If the brain predicts that you will avoid difficulty, and then you avoid difficulty, the prediction is confirmed. The model strengthens. The next forecast becomes more confident. If the brain predicts you'll finish what you started, and you do, that model strengthens too. You are not just acting. You are training a predictive model of yourself. And that model will run with or without your permission. The next time a similar moment appears, which raises a question neuroscience is still circling. If your brain is constantly predicting who you'll be next, how much of what you call choice is really just the brain confirming a forecast it already made? For a long time, dopamine was misunderstood, even inside the scientific community. It was called the pleasure chemical. It isn't. Cleaner experiments, particularly work led by Wolfram Schultz, showed something subtler. Dopamine doesn't spike when you get what you want. It spikes when reality is better than your brain predicted. It's a prediction error signal. This single fact reorganizes how we understand behavior. When someone refreshes a feed, the hit isn't the content. It's the gap between the brain's forecast and what shows up. Slot machines exploit this. Notifications exploit this. So does almost every loop that quietly takes over a life. The brain doesn't crave the reward, it craves the mismatch. And here's where it gets unsettling. The more reliably you deliver small mismatches, an unexpected message, a flick of novelty, a low-effort pleasure, the more your dopamine system learns to expect them. The baseline shifts. What used to feel like a spike now feels like nothing. So you reach again. Not because you're weak, because a chemical messenger originally designed to help your ancestors find berries and track prey has been hijacked by environments it was never built to handle. The behavior you can't seem to stop isn't a character flaw. It's an old survival circuit running modern software. Here's the part the brain hides from you. Every time you repeat a small behavior, your nervous system doesn't just register the action. It updates a probability, the probability that next time you'll do it again. In the early 1990s, neuroscientists discovered that repeated behavior physically changes the striatum, a region buried beneath the cortex, shifting activity from deliberate goal-driven circuits to automatic habit-driven ones. It looks like this on a brain scan. In the beginning, a behavior lights up wide regions of the prefrontal cortex. The brain is thinking, calculating, choosing. After enough repetitions, those regions go quiet. The activity migrates downward into deeper, older structures. The behavior becomes faster, smoother, and, critically, less conscious. This is called habit consolidation. What it really means is more disturbing. A behavior that started as a decision becomes infrastructure. You no longer choose it, it runs you. And the same process applies to behaviors we don't usually call habits. Avoidance is consolidated, honesty is consolidated, reactivity is consolidated. So is patience, focus, and the small, almost invisible willingness to keep going when something stops being interesting. Psychologists studying identity formation describe a related effect. Self-perception theory, developed by Daryl Bem. People infer who they are by watching what they do. You don't access identity directly. You reverse engineer it from your own behavior. So, when someone repeatedly backs out of difficult conversations, the brain doesn't just record an event. It writes a sentence. I'm the kind of person who avoids this. That sentence then becomes a prior, an expectation the prediction system uses to forecast future behavior. Behavior writes belief. Belief shapes prediction. Prediction shapes the next behavior. It's a loop. And the loop doesn't need your approval to keep running, which is why one of the most studied findings in behavioral science still sounds almost like a riddle. People don't usually act according to who they are. They become whoever they've been acting like. In 2009, the psychologist Hal Hershfield ran a now famous brain imaging study. He asked people to think about themselves, then about a stranger, then about their future self, 10, 20, 30 years out. The patterns of brain activity were revealing. When subjects thought about their current self, certain regions of the medial prefrontal cortex lit up reliably. When they thought about a stranger, those regions went quiet. When they thought about their future self, the activity looked closer to the stranger. Neurologically, the brain often treats future you as someone else. This is part of why long-term planning is so difficult, why retirement savings are chronically underfunded, why diets fail, why people delay medical appointments, why promises made at midnight collapse by morning. The brain that benefits is treated on a neural level like a third party. And here is the strange twist. That future self only ever arrives wearing today's nervous system. The same prediction model, the same consolidated habits, the same dopamine baseline, the same priors written by every small, automatic action that came before. There is no handoff. There is no upgrade event. There is only the slow biological drift of a system rewriting itself one repetition at a time. The new you people wait for isn't hiding in the future. It's being assembled quietly in the present, out of materials most of us never notice we're using. behavioral neuroscience keeps pointing at the same uncomfortable observation. Change doesn't happen when a person decides to be different. It happens when the prediction model finally gets enough new data to update. The brain is built for threat detection, not pattern detection. Evolution rewarded ancestors who noticed sudden movement in tall grass. It didn't reward noticing that they'd pick the same path home for 40 days in a row. Slow drifts didn't kill anyone fast enough to matter. That bias still runs the human nervous system, which is why small behaviors feel weightless in the moment. Eating one meal changes nothing measurable. Writing one paragraph changes nothing visible. Skipping one workout has no detectable consequence in a body of trillions of cells. But the brain isn't weighing the action. It's updating a model, and models don't care about magnitude. They care about frequency. Behavioral economists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky described a related blind spot. Humans systematically underestimate compound effects. The brain evolved to track linear, immediate threats. Exponential drift, accumulating slowly across thousands of micro-decisions, falls below its detection threshold. So, the very mechanism that builds a life is the one the brain is worst at noticing. Each small action arrives disguised as nothing. Each repetition rewires a circuit you can't feel rewiring. By the time the pattern becomes visible from the outside, in a body, a career, a relationship, a temperament, it has already been consolidated below the level of conscious access. The cement has set. This is the part that reframes everything. For most of human history, people described identity in moral or spiritual terms. A character, a soul, a self. Modern neuroscience increasingly describes it as something else. A running model, continuously updated by behavior, energetically biased toward repetition, and structurally incapable of separating who you are from what you keep doing. Under that lens, a single day isn't a stage where identity performs. It's a training session for a predictive system that doesn't turn off. Every action is data. Every repetition tunes a parameter. Every consolidated loop becomes a prior the brain will use to forecast the next moment of your life. This isn't motivation. This is mechanics. The system in your skull is not waiting for a transformation event. It is updating in real time, with whatever inputs it's given, whether anyone is paying attention or not, which means the most consequential thing happening inside a human being on an ordinary day is almost never the thing they think is happening. It's the quiet rewriting of a model that will very soon start running them automatically. Somewhere in your brain right now, that model is still updating. It's reading this moment, logging the posture, the breath, the attention, the drift, and whatever it learns from the next few seconds, it will use to predict the next version of you